This is KC Sports Tonight.
And away we go.
There we go. I was
Hi,
waiting for
it. Wait for it. What's up, everyone? It's KC Sports Tonight. It is Monday. Good to have you with us. We've got a busy sports week coming up and a busy sports weekend just gone by. So we got a lot to talk about. Scott Reiss, Jared Koller. How was your weekend?
It was good. Here all by myself on Sunday, but then I was on the East Coast for a wedding the day before.
That's
so
right.
Quite the culture shock, but glad to be back in my favorite place here, Kauffman Stadium earlier today, and then now my second favorite place, KCTV5.
The KCTV5 newsroom.
For the company men watching, my second favorite place here.
So were the Kansas City Royals the talk of the East Coast while you were out there?
I got to be honest.
In the airport? And,
I was at a wedding reception when the Royals had one of the greatest comebacks in recent history, and I was a little bit sad that after watching every game of the 2021 and 23 Royals, that others got to enjoy that and not I. But a sacrifice I'm willing to burden.
That was a thing. I was at the game for the 7-run first. Then I left, came back here to, put the show together.
Well, Scott, I don't know if you should go to any more games then. Clearly, that's
clearly, right? They were down 0-7 with me in attendance, and then you know what happened.
By the aggregate, they're winning big time.
No, that was cool. Big weekend for the Royals. They take 2 out of 3 against a first-place Mariners team. Could have easily won all 3. And now they get another first-place team. In fact, the best team in the American League to this point in the season, the mighty New York Yankees, in town for 4 games. So, Jared, the schedule not getting any easier, but boy, this is fun. We're getting a chance to really see how this team matches up with the big boys. Yeah,
it's, again, in June, you like these matchups as kind of just to see where they're at, and you like to – it's a great opportunity to make up a lot of ground while also, not the end of the world. If you lose – 3 out of 4 to the team with the most wins in all of baseball, But it's an opportunity to prove yourself. If you can split against the Yankees, win 3 out of 4, then, man, you are cooking with gas. And so I think what you like most is this team continues to fight, Scott. And this, obviously, Friday's game was crazy because, they were down 7-0, but they were also down a couple runs in the 9th inning, and we've seen a handful of times over the last couple of weeks that they work hard to get back and they have the game-winning run like on base and then they lose by 1 or they come close. But to actually win it was really a nice step. And then they win again on Saturday, even though they were down early. Then on Sunday, Scott, MJ Melendez, who has probably been the most criticized Royals player this year, I would say based on Royals fans.
Performance relative to expectation, I think that makes sense.
And fair or not, he's gotten a lot of heat. People saying, hey, send him down to Omaha. The Royals stuck with him. He had a big 3-run home run Friday, and then down 2 outs, bottom of the 9th inning on Sunday, he says, I'm going to hit this ball very far and flip the bat maybe even farther. Yeah. So I think that arguably, yes, taking 2 out of 3 against the Mariners, Scott, but I'm really interested to see how MJ Melendez does against the Yankees. He's not in the lineup against Carlos Rodon here on Monday, but can he start to climb out of this deep hole that he's dug? I think that was the biggest development of the weekend, is that the Royals stuck by him when everybody said send him down, and for him to perform defensively, made a number of great catches, but also, the more importantly, what he's in there to do, hit the ball far, and he did that.
Yeah, and that's one thing we do have to say about MJ is despite really what has been a season-long slump to this point, the defense has not slumped. He's played really well in left field.
Very improved. And big home – I mean, all of his home runs, if you remember, he hit most of those early in like the first 2 weeks, they were all like 3-run home runs in the 7th. Like his home runs have been big. Like they have won a handful of games solely because of MJ Melendez, which is kind of odd when you look at his overall stat line. But they're sticking with him, and we'll see if it pays off.
Well, you talk about the number of times in recent games that the Royals have scored multiple runs in the 9th. It's actually getting to be kind of staggering. I mean, it was, we saw it the week of the Twins series. We saw it a couple of times. But if you go back, I want to say it's like 5 times in the last 11 games or something like that. I mean, 5 times in 11 games that they have scored multiple, not one, multiple runs in the 9th when down by multiple runs in the 9th. A couple of those they've won, the other 3 they lost. But it's getting kind of remarkable the number of times in just the less than 2-week stretch to be down multiple in the ninth and to score multiple runs in the ninth, because you're always doing this against the high leverage guys, against the closers. It ain't easy to put crooked numbers on the board in the ninth inning, and they're doing it regularly, and they did in the 10th as well yesterday.
Right, yeah, they had 2 there with Hunter Renfroe. Well, but Scott, and even before that was their win streak, where they didn't even, in some cases,
right,
need
they didn't
to do
need
that.
runs in the ninth because they won 7 in a row.
Right, I don't have. They had a loss in there that kind of broke it up, but there was a time where pretty much for the last month, they've either won or had a good chance to win it at the end. At almost every single game in the last month, and Scott, that's in baseball, even the good teams have a handful of dud games. The Royals might have a couple this week, but their ability to consistently play competitive baseball day in and day out, it's rewarded in, I think, the team belief. It's rewarded in fan support, that fans watching go to the ballpark and know that they're going to get their money's worth. But I think another example that we've talked about is that Padres game where they were down 8 runs in the ninth inning, come all the way back. Another game they didn't win, but that game, that comeback was part of the reason why they won on that Sunday with the walk-off for Nelson Velasquez. So it's all part of the story right now. It's all connected, and it's a pretty fun story if you're a Royals fan.
Well, and they're doing this against good competition. I think that's another part of the equation here, as we've talked so much about this stretch. This is currently, the Yankees are the 3rd of 4 consecutive first-place opponents, which is a pretty strange oddity of the schedule. And you go back even to the beginning of May, and there was a streak of I think it was maybe not the beginning, but the second week of May, where it was like 20 straight games against teams above 500. And there aren't that many teams above 500 in all of baseball. There's only 10 in the entire major leagues. So while the Royals are playing the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Mariners and the Twins and the Guardians, I looked at Cleveland's schedule a little bit more closely this morning, and I don't know if you saw, I tweeted this earlier today, but it's pretty remarkable that since May 1st, which is a pretty good sample size, you're talking about almost a month and a half of baseball, they have played 2 opponents over 500. 2 games against the Royals and 3 games against the Twins. That's it. The combined winning percentage of the Guardians' opponents over the last 6 weeks is .438. .438 is the winning percentage exactly of the New York Mets. So basically, they have played the Guardians have essentially played the last 35 games in a row against the New York Mets. That's basically what their schedule has been. So yeah, they're winning a lot, but and they're 23-12 in that stretch, and that's great. 11 over 500. You got to beat who's on the schedule, but it's really staggering to me when you contrast what Cleveland has had on the schedule the last month and a half versus what the Royals have had on the schedule the last month and a half. And in that stretch, Kansas City is minus 2.5 games in the standings, something like that.
Yeah.
So this bodes really, really well, because Cleveland's schedule after the All-Star break is brutal, and the Royals lightens up.
Yeah, that's why people are, wanting to discredit the Royals early on, because a lot of their wins came against the White Sox or an Astros team that was something. It's like in baseball that all evens out. Yep. In the Central, we play the same teams. It's not as different as in football, where the division winners have a tougher schedule than like the bottom dwellers. No, in baseball, that's why one of the reasons why I wasn't putting as much judgmental stock into that Cleveland series is because I think it'll kind of even itself out. It's if the Royals had gotten swept there, lost 2 out of 3, it's like, no, that doesn't mean that there's insurmountable ground to make up. I continue to think that the Guardians will come back to earth a little bit. I'm not willing to go past the Twins, who right now are still in a playoff spot.
No, not at all.
I think what's most important about the Royals treading water, at least right now, is yes, you're staying in it for the AL race, but what it says there at the bottom, Scott, Kansas City currently has a 6-game lead for a wild card spot.
Yeah, that's big.
That means and right now I think the Red Sox are the ones that would, if the Royals win 6 in a row, Red Sox win the next 6, then it'd be even. You continue to build that gap to where you have that buffer. If you don't win the division that you're still playing in October, that's huge. Like, that continues to be the storyline that I'm watching, even more than just, hey, how are they doing against the Guardians specifically?
Yeah, no, I think those are great points. They will have a lot of games head-to-head, obviously, against Cleveland. They've only played the 2 games so far because one of them was rained out. So a lot of that to come. And it'd be interesting, and I guess I could pose this to you right now, and maybe I get a biased answer. And I'm not sure what the answer is. But if I asked you who's the best team in the American League Central right now, Who is it? I mean, I don't know that I know the answer.
I would still probably go with the Guardians.
Would you?
Based on their bullpen, I think helps them win a lot of close games. And I'm just not confident in the Royals bullpen. And I think their lineup is good enough. I think their starting pitching is good enough. With that said, I think Kansas City absolutely could win any game in any series against Cleveland. Win healthy. Now the Royals are taking on a little bit of injury water. But I think so will Cleveland. So I think you have, just based on the records now, the 2-game sample there, I do think you got to give the edge to Cleveland, but there is no reason why the Royals cannot finish ahead of the Guardians when all is said and done, especially because a lot of those games come after maybe J.J. Picollo adds some bullpen arms. Maybe the Royals improve more than the Guardians do at the trade deadline, and then it's a different team going forward. So right now, I just, because of the standings, I think I respect that. I would give a slight edge to the Guardians. But no, listen, I think the Royals absolutely can and maybe even should make the playoffs this year, which would be amazing.
No, it's interesting, obviously, as a discussion now. It'll get more interesting when we get to the second half of the season. I'm not sure. I don't even know if I'd agree with that. I think the Royals might be a better team right now than Cleveland. It's close. You're splitting hairs.
Yeah, I think you can make a compelling argument both ways.
Yeah, but and I think they're both.
I just got to show I'm not a homer every now and then.
Right.
Gabe Schwartz might come down here and smack me in the back of the head.
And I think they're both just incrementally better than Minnesota right now.
It's a tight race.
Yeah, no doubt. And who'd have thought that we'd be talking about
the
three
Twins
AL Central teams?
The Twins are so streaky, man. They win 12 in a row, then lose 6 in a row. But great.
All right, let's move on to the Chiefs ring ceremony on Thursday. That'll be a ton of fun. I know you'll be out there for that. But minicamp tomorrow. This is the next phase. We had OTAs 1, 2, and 3, so now it's mandatory minicamp. So you got to show up for this, or else you're gonna get fined.
Well, but I think that's the storyline right there. Is we've seen players not show up, get fined. And Chris Jones famously didn't even show up to training camp and then was a beast for a large part of last season. But I think, Scott, that will be something to watch. Who's on the field Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Are there people that are saying, you know what, no, I'll take the fine? And will that determine how good the Chiefs are this year? No, but I think it will be a good test to see, how committed the guys really are. And so if you have Chris Jones out there for for even just a couple of days, Travis Kelce out there for a couple of days, those are guys that can afford to miss, a mandatory minicamp. And the fact that they're grinding away in the summer heat here in Kansas City, I think will be a good example of the leadership on this team and a good example of the drive on this team of how seriously they're taking this three-peat.
You got a chance to see some video over the weekend of the wide receivers working out at a camp with kids, and it's great that the Chiefs players do this kind of thing every summer. Rashee Rice, the headliner, obviously it was the first public comments since all the legal issues back in April and May. But takeaways from not just Rashee Rice, but you heard from Sky Moore, you heard from a couple of the other guys. Anything that was said in the last over the weekend that was interesting to you?
No, nothing particularly noteworthy. It's cool that they do this and to get them outside of the Chiefs bubble, if you will. Rashee Rice, props to him for answering some questions. Said he's learning from his off-season mistakes and understands that he's got some maturing to do. If I could paraphrase that, I know we have those quotes on the exact quotes on KSTV5.com that I encourage you to look up directly. But it wasn't. He didn't avoid the topic, but he didn't create new distractions and new headlines or anything. And I think at this point, that's what he needs to do. Now that he's back in Kansas City, be a good citizen wherever he is, and it's been an off season with distractions, Scott, and some deserved, some subjective. I think getting back to some football normalcy now with 3 open practices that we'll have coverage of. We'll hear from the team.
It's going to be nice to get 3 practices with media access all 3 days because we haven't had that yet.
Yeah.
And even last week, round 3 of OTAs was completely overshadowed by the B.J. Thompson cardiac arrest and that incident. So I think it'll be nice. It'll be refreshing the next 3 days, knock on wood, to really just be able to talk football and to get into some of these important offseason issues.
Because remember, fans, this is the last Chiefs football you're going to get until training camp, end of July. So we're, after this, going to hit about a month lull without any Chiefs Well, there's always Chiefs news. There's always Chiefs stuff to talk about, but without
no access.
in-person, in-person stuff. So, it'll be cool. I'm interested to see if Xavier Worthy can get on the field. Because if you remember,
that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Because it's about getting that chemistry with Mahomes and getting that timing down, and he's behind the block now. Yeah. We saw that really hinder last year's first-round draft pick Felix Anudike-Uzomah because of a hand injury.
That's right.
A little different with defensive line. I think they still, this isn't, I don't think, an excuse for Xavier Worthy not to make an impact in year one. But I think you'd like to see him catching some balls this week so that you don't have to wait all the way until training camp to really get going.
Well, and, a soft tissue injury like a hamstring strain in May when you come back and you're good to go in June is a non-issue. But a hamstring strain in May that still keeps you out in June then has everybody asking the question in mid-July when they report for training camp, hey, how's the hamstring? Then it's a thing. And you don't want to – hamstrings tend to be, they can be recurring, they can linger. So it would be great, I think, on a lot of levels if he was out there and it was just done. No more talking about it.
Yeah, Neil Jones would have been an NBA player for that nagging hamstring injury back in the day.
Heard that.
He could dunk and then he couldn't. And you know what? I think he was robbed of glorious purpose.
And we were robbed, too, on that front, no doubt. All right, let's talk soccer. Big weekend around here.
Soccer capital of America, Scott.
And lived up to its name. It's been a while.
Well, we got Team USA, some of those players playing here on Tuesday, and now there's good vibes hopefully coming from the football portion of this.
Yes, well, we've been waiting for good sporting vibes for months, other than a couple of Open Cup wins against lesser caliber opponents. It's been a long dry spell. You see it there since March 30th, but they finally get off the schneid. They beat Seattle 2-1. And obviously this a really important win on multiple levels. But, hey, 7 points out of a playoff spot. They were in worse shape than that at this time last year. So, it's possible. It's tough for Lightning to strike twice. But it's possible.
I don't think this is Lightning. I don't think we look at this through the lens. I think a lot of maybe casual soccer fans compare it to in the Chiefs season, if you get behind the eight ball. Sporting has not won a match since March 30th, but if they were to win their next two matches and one draw and have things fall their way, then they're suddenly back in a playoff spot with July, August, with months left to play.
Fair. It was more dire last year, no question.
But that's where it's in the way Major League Soccer currently is positioned. It's hard for me to get as upset as pretty much the rest of the sporting Kansas City community this time of year, which I get it, especially, when you're a diehard fan. They've been losing. They have not been playing well. Absolutely not.
That's the bigger problem.
But it's when everybody essentially makes the playoffs, and it comes down to just we saw Kansas City upset St. Louis last year. St. Louis was absolutely the better regular season team on the whole, and Kansas City, when it mattered most, was the better team. Just as, Scott, a couple of years ago, you remember Kansas City was the best team in the regular season. Daniel Shalhoub led Major League Soccer in goals. They were at the top of the table. Johnny Russell was playing great. Right. And then they get upset. They had a lead at home, and they get upset for a team that I thought was good enough to win the whole shebang. And it's just, for soccer, for me, it's like when you have a goalkeeper like Tim Melia that's so good in PKs, get in the postseason, see what happens. Now, when you dig yourself in a hole right now, they have to be really good going out. They've lost their margin for error, but there's still so much time left. I still think there's talent on this team. They have defensive issues, yes, but I still think there's potential there. And arguably their biggest issue, Scott, in my opinion, feel free to disagree, it's the fact that their highest paid players, Johnny Russell, Daniel Shalhoub, and Alan Polito, really have not been playing anywhere near what they're getting paid. Yeah. But it's not crazy to think, hey, can those three play better? Yeah. Well, we saw Johnny Russell score this weekend.
Yeah, last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and so I think you're not asking people to do something they're not capable of or they haven't proven before, just as this team and this coaching staff has, turned a season around. I tell you, I've not been as down on the team. I'm not down as right now, while acknowledging they still got a lot of work to do, but hey, you heard him. Peter Vermees, after the match on Saturday, was saying, hey, we did it again last year. We'll do it again this year.
Yeah, well, and look, it's nice to be able to play that card, right? No question. And it's largely the same roster. And that's the thing. And from day one, you looked at this team and you looked at this roster and said, well, yeah, this is a playoff roster. I mean, and it should be. Now, whether it will be remains to be seen. But it is a playoff caliber roster.
And you look at, since March 30th, it hasn't been good, which is a large chunk of time, but they played better than their record indicated for that first month, where
completely.
They lost at the end of.
Right, even they gave games away, yes.
Even since March 30th, they've had times where they get the lead and then they give it up in the last 30 minutes, which is a big problem.
Right.
But it's like.
It doesn't mean you're bad. It means you're not finishing.
Right.
That's the. Yes.
You can see the potential, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm sure some will disagree, though, which is fine.
Okay, how about the ladies? No such issues, because they haven't lost since, last year. It's really, still unbeaten. And we're in mid-June, just about. They beat Seattle 5-2. By the way, you and I joked about this, and I saw this coming on the schedule, the just oddity of the schedule with all three sports, with the current Sporting and the Royals all playing Seattle here on the same weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if they all just shared a charter, because that's really weird.
But Kansas City wins the weekend series.
Yeah, they won the weekend, no doubt. Sorry, Seattle. But 5-2 is convincing. Temwa is, like, on another level. What an addition she's been.
Yeah.
But you look at, 8 wins, 4 draws, no losses. And that note at the bottom there, 23 goals in the first 6 home matches. That's a record for any, not just for a start of the season, but a record for any 6-match home stretch in NWSL history. 23 goals. So this is remarkable.
16 different players have scored this year in just that amount of time. You mentioned the stretch of any 6 home games. Scott, they've played 12 matches. Guess how many minutes they have trailed this season? It's not even 3 digits.
No, I was going to say.
It's
not even 50.
It's one of the
It is.
It's one of the best, one of the most favorite numbers in Kansas City. There's your hint.
Oh, jeez.
87. Shout out Travis Kelce.
I went to 15, but I know that one.
Oh, right. Well, that would be that'd be crazy. The Current have trailed for a league low 87 minutes this season, which is
in 12
remarkable.
Games.
They are fun. Scott, I'll say this. I think we forget how young of a franchise this is. I worked in this town before there was even a women's – there was a women's professional soccer team a decade ago. Then they left, and then they came back. And I've been here longer than the current franchise has been around. And I think we forget how fast of a growth they've come up now, specifically with the new stadium. And I think it's so important that they have started this strong in this new building to where, man, they're selling out that house every single night for good reason. The fans are into it, and they're giving them a product that Kansas City can be proud of. And when you want to establish yourself and grow your fan base and be a part of this awesome Kansas City sports community, well, the best way to go about doing that, Scott, is to win.
Yep.
I think another option is to bring in hometown talent and homegrown talent, and they did that with Cece Kaiser and Jenna Weinbrenner from Blue Valley and Park Hill. Then they got rid of those players, and I was like, this is a little risky. You're getting rid of some hometown favorites.
Yeah, and they took some flack for that.
Because I think that is how you help build up a fan base when you're still an up and coming team.
Of course.
But clearly the decision was the right move, and I give them credit. I think it was a hard decision, and to this point, it's worked out because, hey, who they've got on the team, it's hard to have any issues with that record.
No, you really can't fault roster construction at this point, given what they've done.
Well, and it's also hiding the fact that recently they just parted ways with their general manager.
Yeah.
They have a new they've had a number of head coaches. They've had different team presidents, different GMs. They on the field is consistently great, which is a credit to the players. It's a credit to everyone who has been there through lots of change, that it is to the public not impacting what they see.
Yeah. No, it's been a great run, and you and I both signed on for the media game coming in a couple of weeks.
You ready to run, Scott? It's the full. They don't cut it in half.
I will give you 75 seconds of greatness.
Okay, there you go.
That's what I got in the tank.
That's more than a lot of people. So so when I see that burst down the field,
75 seconds of pretty goodness.
Okay.
How about that? I don't want to set the bar too high.
I just hope I'm in a position where I can see you just whoosh I can feel the breeze from your speed.
Well, and here's the thing, and I'm on vacation the day after that, so I cannot pull a hamstring. So I need to keep it in check.
That's fair. That's and in those you never know. I'm counting my. I did have to go to the urgent care once after I hit 2 home runs off Darren Erstad at a Huskers celebrity softball game because
Nice.
I slid head first into home.
Oh, come on. What are you doing?
Just to showboat, and the knee did not hold up. So
no.
I'd say I've learned my lesson, Scott, but I don't know if
I
I
don't
have.
think you have. Yeah, no, I would bet against that. All right, I got a couple of minutes left. So quick look at just what else is coming up this week. We talked about the Yankees. We talked about the ring ceremony. We got the Round Ball Classic on Thursday. Brian Haney does such an incredible job with that event. This is the 16th annual Rock Chalk Round Ball Classic. I've seen the rosters, off the charts great. I mean, if you're a Kansas basketball fan or a college basketball fan in general, you just have to appreciate all the greatness and all the great memories that are going to be in one room, and it's all for a fantastic cause. I know you've been watching this thing for years. It's fun. Marley and I are going to be out there helping broadcast it, and just a first-class event all around.
Yeah, so keep it here on KC5 all week. Starting tomorrow, we'll have coverage from Chiefs mandatory minicamp and hear from the team, and we'll show you the practice footage of who's out there. Then again on Wednesday, again on Thursday. All while also, Scott will have highlights and stuff from the Royals. Big series at the K. Hopefully you can get out to a game because there's going to be some Yankee fans out there. So Royals fans, I hope you're loud and proud. Even out the sound. Thursday I'll be at the Chiefs Super Bowl ring ceremony. I'll be there before the ring ceremony, seeing everybody in their nice suits.
Red carpet, baby.
Yeah, and all of them with more expensive suits than I will be wearing. We'll say that much. And then Scott, as you mentioned, with the Round Ball Classic. So a fun few days here, and we'll have you covered every day. And then again on the weekend at 10:30, we recap and bring you all the best. As you saw Brian Haney on last night's show talking about the Round Ball Classic. It's always nice at the end of the week to put a bow on what's always an eventful week of sports here in the sports capital of the world, Scott.
Well, certainly the next few days. This is like quintessential Kansas City sports. We got Royals-Yankees. You got Chiefs going on multiple levels, and you got Kansas basketball. I don't care that it's summer. We got Chiefs. We got Kansas basketball. This is great. So yeah, big fun for us this week. This is one of those weeks where we are just happy to do what we do. All right, great. I'm going to go get ready for the 6 o'clock news. Jared, great stuff as always.
James Shield salute.
We'll check you back here tomorrow, and I'll see you over on TV.